So I wanted to do a walkthrough of a cool mean of 3 I got. What made this mean of 3 interesting is that on every single solve I did df edges with a uf float, so I used 3 buffers on every single solve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through how I memorized every single solve for my corner letter pairs and my edge audio, and then I'll reconstruct all of the comms I used. So I scramble white-green, but I execute blue-red. So if you want to get them in the same orientation as me, hold it in your orientation, do a Z prime, Y prime, and then apply the scrambles. Alright, so here's the first scramble. I'm just going to go through the letters I memorized for corners. I understand everyone has a different scheme, but you can still follow the reconstruction as that's written in standard 2-letter piece notation. So my first letter pair is BF, then I have GO, SK, PI. So I just memorized that as BF is barf, and then GOSKPI is go suck a pie. So, I don't know, kind of graphic, but it's pretty easy to visualize. And then for my edges, I started with DF, so I have GFHN, Guffin, MD, Mud, and then I cycle break at UF, and this is where I start doing floating. So then I memorize O, A, P, W, and then I come back to UF. So that's OAPWA. So Guffin, Mud, OAPWA would be my audio. So for my DF edges, first I have these two targets. This is a really easy advanced M2 case because it's a group I show in my tutorial, and that's just an L prime setup and then an 8 mover. Next I have here, which is just F prime setup and then a 4 mover. Then for my last DF case, this is just an 8 mover like that. Now I'm floating UF, and my first case is a 9 mover with a U interchange. So I insert here, this piece into here like that. Then I do my final UF comm. It's here to here, and that's just a 9 mover with RUM. Now I go on to corners. So that's here, and that's an RUD9 mover. And now I chose to cycle break at RDF. That's generally where I like to cycle break. It was the first 3Style set I learned, and it's a pretty easy one. So this is just an RUL 8 mover like that. You can also rotate through the comm like that, but I think the rotation is slower. Next we have here, which is just an 8 mover RUD. And then lastly we have here, which is D prime, R prime setup to an 8 mover. So that's the first solve. Now time for solve number 2. So I go to B and then I cycle break here at O. So BO, TC, in, U. This corner is solved and this one is a twist. So for BO I do blow, TC is torch, and then NU is none. So with a blowtorch is a none. And then for the corner twist, blue is my top color, and I recognize my corner twists as where the sticker with either my top or bottom color is. So that's either blue or green is always what I'm looking for. So here I see the blue in the back, so I memorize that as the 2 corners will be here, so I think about the headlights OLL case. Now for my edges, I have G, V, S, J, which is give sig, then I have B, N, A, E, which is Benai, and then I float UF because I have to cycle break, and I just have to go RF, so rough. For my edge execution, here to here is just an easy 8 mover. Then I have a 9 mover advanced M2 case. Then I do U F prime into this 4 mover. And lastly, I do M prime L setup and finish with wide move like that. Now for UF, this is a really easy case. It's just an 8 mover. You can insert here, and the interchange is on the E slice, excuse me. Next for corners, this is just an 8 mover. It's a pure comm. Then for this case, it's actually a little tricky, but you have to do D, R prime, D, U setup like that, and then you can finish the comm with an 8 mover. For this case, my comm isn't so great. I just do DR and then D2. Like that. And now for this headlights OLL case, I do a 7 move insertion from the back, so it looks like this. And that's pure RUD, which makes it really, really fast. Now for Scramble 3, my corners are L, R, O, K, N, G, and then I have a corner twist again here, but it's the opposite direction. So LR, OK, NG, I just imagine for LR a ladder, and then OK is Professor Oak, NG is Nag, so he's on a ladder, it's Professor Oak, he's nagging, and then I see this corner twist here I memorize visually, and I would kind of think of the chameleon because that's the name I know for that OLL case where you have two corners sticking out here and everything else is oriented. Then for my edges, I have NWOA, so NWOA. Then I have FDPB, which is FUDPIB. And then I have a UF float, which is UR, and I just memorize that as So first I have this kind of interesting comm. It's an R prime setup canceled with an M as the first move of the comm. So you can just do an R wide prime like that. And this is pure, the actual comm is just a pure MU, but since you're doing the R and RW, it's kind of RWRUM. It's a kind of weird moveset, but it's fast. Next I have here to here, so that's just a U setup into an 8 mover like that. Now this is another really interesting case. I have to go here, here, and there's a 9 mover where you could just use this interchange, but what I actually do is I do an R prime first, and that helps me get a better grip for the F prime. So the R prime doesn't affect either of these pieces, obviously, but it allows me to get a better grip like that when flicking the F move, and that allows it to be faster. So the comm actually looks like that, and then I undo the R prime. And then my next case is actually just the mirror of that. I have to go here, here, and I start with an L setup, even though that doesn't affect any of these pieces. And lastly, I have a 8 mover here. I just did LDM. There is a LU perm for this case, but I don't actually know it in this direction. All right, now for my corners, I have to go here, here. So for this, I just do an R2U setup, and then it's an 8 mover. And you can kind of do the UD simultaneously. Now I have this 9 mover here, here on the D interchange. And then my last case, I just do a rotation and then the 8 mover. You can do it without rotating, but doing the U prime R2 like that isn't very fast. And for my corner twist here, it's pretty similar to the one in the previous solve, but you do the 7 move insertion before the U this time. And that's that. So that was 3 solves using both UF and DF buffers, floating on every single solve. So I hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching.